FIFA 21 Ultimate Team Starter Teams. Today we're going to have a look at the best cheap starter squads to build for a La Liga team and what your thought process should be when determining what a meta player should look like. Sounds good? Let's get into it. Welcome back, squad. Hope you're all keeping well. If we haven't met before, my name is Brabsy, competitive FIFA player and now your personal FIFA 21 coach. If you haven't joined the squad already, please do consider hitting the subscribe button to get all the latest FIFA 21 tips as and when they drop. Alright squad, let's do this. So first of all, let's quickly recap what the meta will look like in FIFA 21. In many ways, it's going to be very similar to that in FIFA 20. So it's going to be players who are small, have good balance and good agility. Now, adding into that, in FIFA 21, crossing has improved. So target men are a feasible option if you want someone a bit more bigger and physical. However, the smaller players are still going to take precedent over that. So let's put this into perspective when looking at our La Liga squad. I would suggest not to build your squad straight away. Instead, use the first few days of web app just to build up some coins through trading, which we'll cover in another video. Build your squad around about the time where you're going to start your first division rivals ranking or your first weekend league. Alright, so first up is goalkeepers. Now with goalkeepers, we want to keep things as cheap as possible with our starter squad, because by and large, goalkeepers are all going to be roughly similar when you're starting out. Right, so we're ranging from height straight away. Courtois, we're going to just put out the equation. He's going to be very expensive. So we start to scroll down this list and have a look at a few of the keepers. So this guy here, we can see is pretty tall, but the stats aren't that great, so we'll skip over him. Then we come to this guy. Stats are pretty decent for a starter card, aren't they? And 6'4", that's quite nice. So we will shortlist this guy. One thing I will note for this player is 82. I don't know whether you know, this is the highest rated non-rare gold card. So that in itself might add a bit of price to him. If you can't pick him up at base value, don't worry, just skip on to a different player. So the one that stands out to me down the list is Geronimo Rouley. And you're going to enjoy this because I can't pronounce anyone's names at all. So as we open up the stats, we can see he's got really good diving. Reflexes are excellent, which is one of the main stats we want to look for at this point. When it comes to chemistry style, regardless of what goalkeeper you've got, always put them on basic. It gives them a +5 bump in every area. That is a pretty decent card to have as a starter team, so we'll put him into our squad. Okay, so for the purpose of our squad, I have put them in a 4-4-2 flat formation. As we know, your starting formation is just all about chemistry. We can obviously change this in game. I do foresee 4-4-2 and 4-2-3-1 will still be the best two formations when you're starting out in the game. So let's jump into the defense, and the defense in a La Liga squad is where we're going to save the most coins. We don't want to spend anything other than base rate coins on the defense. So going into our right back, first of all, of course, we're going to search by pace with them because we want someone who is going to be fast and who is going to keep up with the opposition wingers. So as we're looking at this, Nelson Semedo obviously is the fastest player. We're going to totally ignore him because he's going to be expensive from the start, and I will also put Jesus Navas in that same sort of bracket. He's going to be very expensive. These three are silvers. We don't want a silver in our starter squad. So the first player you really come to is going to be Ander Kappa Rodriguez. Now he has both decent pace and decent physical stats. I do think that people will probably have a similar thought process, so he might be a little bit more expensive than base rate. If you can pick him up for cheap, he'd be a great addition. However, let's not worry about that too much. Going further down the list is Ruben, Pena, Jiminez. On the face of it, not very good pace. He's got decent dribbling though, but the one thing I will point out is his height, 5'7". That is the absolute meta for a player height when it comes to wingers. And so the same applies to when it comes to defenders. They're going to be able to keep up with the wingers. Unlike Kappa, this guy does have worse physicality, so you may be more susceptible to back post headers in the game, but we're not going to worry about that too much. I'd probably be mindful to put an anchor on this card. It gives him good pace, makes his defending a bit better, and it gives him more acceptable physicality. So to keep things cheap and cheerful, I'm going to throw him in my starter squad. So next up is our two centre backs. Again, we're not going to worry about spending any money on our defence here. We just want to get the cheapest cards that we possibly can that will do a job for us. So same as our right backs, we want to order these by pace because by and large that's going to be the biggest deciding factor in your defenders. Rafael Varane straight away, we're just going to absolutely ignore that. He's going to be very, very pricey. So second on the list is Nacho Fernandez, who is the second fastest player. So this might mean that his price is a little bit more expensive than normal. However, if you can pick him up for his base price, very good defender, stick an anchor on him just to bump this up and add a bit more pace. Very, very acceptable defender for you. We move further down the list, and again, Militao, very popular card in the last one. A lot of people are going to probably want to pick him up, and he is going to be expensive. The two I have decided to highlight is Koundé, and the other one is Hermoso. So then Koundé is going to be a little bit unconventional for a centre-back in that his height is only 5'10". However, that does mean he is going to have a pretty decent turn of pace. When you stick on, for example, an anchor, he's going to be able to keep up with the majority of forwards, whilst his jumping will mean he will still win quite a decent amount of headers. The big bonus I find with this card is he's got decent agility and balance for a defender, and also very good reactions. His short passing is good enough so that he's not going to make too many mistakes when you're passing it out from the back. So I think he's going to be a perfect starter card for you. Same line of thinking with Mario Hermoso. He's slightly taller, but at 6 foot, he's not going to be clunky at all. He also has decent agility as well for a centre-back, which is going to stand him in good stead. And his short and long passing is also good. I would personally lean more towards anchor, as I do with most of my defenders, unless they have a glaringly obvious mistake that needs to be addressed via a chem style. That's our two centre-backs linked up onto our left-back. Same line of thinking then with left-backs. We want to get the cheapest card we possibly can that has decent pace stats. So straight away, Mendy is out of the equation. He's going to be expensive. I also think Alex Moreno might be a little bit expensive. Obviously, if you can pick him up, then do so. Jordi Alba out of the equation, too expensive. Clerc would be alright, but his defensive stats are a bit poo, so we're not going to look at him. Guglion, I'm going to be mindful that his rating is fairly high, so he may be above base price. Again, if you can get him cheap, get him. But the certain card I'm going to highlight is Alberto Moreno. Again, 5'7", same with our right back, so that is going to make him pretty decent at keeping up with the wingers. So with bad boy Moreno, he's already got a good pace, which is fantastic. His agility and balance are both excellent, so you can stick on a sentinel just to bump up his jumping to make him really good in the air, or like with all the others, stick an anchor onto him, makes him very fast, good at jumping. His defensive stats are also acceptable. We don't really care that he's not good at heading, that's not what he's there for. As long as he can jump and bounce it off his head somewhere, that's the main thing. We'll stick Moreno in. So then that's our defense sorted as cheap as possible so that we can spend our coins elsewhere on the squad. So this is when we can start shelling out for a little bit better players. Let's start off with the left mid. So we've actually got a lot of options for left mid. I would be mindful to avoid Vinicius Jr. I know that 5-star skill looks nice, but that is automatically going to add some coins onto his value. Ousmane Dembele, we all know, is going to be the most expensive card, probably behind Eden Hazard on the left wing. Amat and DA looks interesting, but his passing terrifies me, and I can't be doing with that with a winger. Yannick Carrasco, I think, looks really nice. However, he's probably going to cost you a bit because it's 82. Pick him up base rate, that's great stuff. If not, no issues. So let's go to Darwin Mackeys. I honestly think quite a few people will probably overlook this card due to the plethora of options on that left hand side. As we look at his stats, agility and balance are going to be really key to this card. He's going to be a really nifty player on the ball. He's also got decent shooting, decent passing, and he can jump. And at 5'9", 4 and 4 star, I think that is all round a really good card to have on the wing that I think a lot of people will probably overlook. So that's the left mid sorted, and we still haven't spent any amount of coins other than the base rate, so we've still got plenty to play with for the rest of the squad. Let's move on to that right midfielder. Real gem, this one, and I think probably going to be one of the more expensive cards in our starter squad, but straight away the one that stood out for me. Even ignoring these stats, the first thing that stood out was that height. That is in the realms of the Ben Yedder, the Moses Simon. He's going to be a very tricky player on the ball. His sprint speed is excellent, his agility and balance is already decent, and his finishing is decent. And look at the physicality. His stamina can go on for days, and he can pass a ball. Extremely good starter card to have. This is why we've saved money elsewhere so we can afford him. Now the one for me that really stands out is the sniper chemistry style. Now for some reason Footbin have got finisher and sniper mixed the wrong way around. I'm assuming that's a mistake and that's going to be rectified. He's going to be a really tricky customer. Dribbling maxed out, agility near enough maxed out, balance great, finishing amazing, shot power amazing. So that's our wide players sorted. So now we move on to the central players, and I'm doing this with the mindset of you using these either in a 4-4-2 or having them in a 4-2-3-1 narrow formation, both of which I think will be very good. We basically want players that can play box to box. If they're going to be in 4-4-2, they're going to be box to box midfielders. In a 4-2-3-1, they're going to be the all-round sitting CDMs. So in this one, I've earmarked Llorente, who I do think will probably be the second most expensive player in your squad. And then moving further down the list, I have also earmarked Herrera, who I do think will probably be an overlooked player when it comes to the starter squad. So let's have a look at both of these. So Llorente, I think most people will probably pick him. He's just got all-round stats, decent dribbling, although that balance is a bit dirty. Chemistry styles, I know a lot of people will probably, in theory, veer towards Shadow, but come on, you're not going to spend that much on a chemistry style for a starter player. I actually quite like leaving players on basic when they're in the middle. I think it does just bump up stats all round, pretty much makes him an all-round player, which is exactly what we want. So I'd be tempted just to leave him on basic. Now Herrera very much is the exact identical card. It's like a poor man's version of Llorente. He's 6'1", got 4-star weak foot, which is very good for a midfielder. Dribbling, again, a bit iffy, but our central defensive midfielders aren't there to dribble. They're there to win the ball back and distribute it to our creative players. Work rate also high means that if you need to use him as a box to box, he has that facility available to him. Again, chemistry styles basic is an option for this player. I'd be more tempted to have him just as a sitting CDM that sits there and wins the ball back. So you could also look at an anchor chem style just to really bump up that strength jumping, give him a bit more pace, and makes his defending very nice as well. But the choice is yours. There's quite a few that you can use for this card. Now that just leaves us with the two we've all been waiting for, and really the two that we've been saving the rest of our coins to be able to purchase to get us the goals that we need in the game. Again, I've identified a few hidden gems that people may overlook when they're looking at these cards, so I'm hoping these shouldn't come at too much of a big price range. So strikers here are ordered by pace, and I think the first players that people will orient themselves towards is the likes of Inaki Williams, Kevin Gamiero. Both have great pace and a track record in FIFA as being very good starter players. However, we're going to ignore these both. They're probably going to be expensive. We're going to look for something different for our strikers. So we're remembering in FIFA 20, 5-star weak foot was absolutely essential, and FIFA 21 is going to be no different. So we're going to order by 5-star weak foots, and we can see straight away Lukahovic comes out on top. I think quite a few people will also veer towards him just because of his summer heat card. A lot of people know about his 5-star weak foot. So the first one I want to pick out is Alexander Isak. So he comes out as a whopping 6'4", which is not really meta in terms of the small agile strikers, but instead we're going to be using him more as a target man, a hold up player that has the ability to finish the ball in the net as and when we need him to. As you look at his stats, 5-star weak foot, 4-star skills, means he's going to be pretty tidy on the ball. His agility is absolutely fine for a big man. He may be a little clunky, but he's not there to run at defences. He's there to hold the ball up. So with that in mind, the key things that we want to look for when deciding what chemistry style to give him is either the sniper to make that finishing unreal in the box, and it just tidies up that dribbling a little bit so he's not as clunky on the ball. If I was to pick, I'd probably go for marksman just to tidy up that dribbling, give him a bit more strength and give him a bit more finishing, but it's a toss-up between that and sniper. So we've got Isak in, so we need to counter that with a small agile player that's going to be able to work off him either in a 4-4-2 or a 4-2-3-1 formation. If it was 4-2-3-1, I'd play Isak up front as the target man and use the other striker as the cam, playing in, behind and off of that striker. So let's have a look into that. So looking at this list, the second card that we look at, and another one that I'm quite excited about, I really do think he'll be a hidden gem, that is Ezekiel Avila. Let's open him up. Looking into this card, 5-star weak foot is phenomenal to have as any starter card. 3-star skills is not an issue. Anyone that's a decent player will tell you that skills are just a bit of an added bonus into this game. As long as a player can do a drag bat, a fake shot and a ball roll, they're going to be absolutely fine, and 3-star skills will allow you to do all 3 of those moves. So we also want to look into the fact that he is 5'8" in height, which is again going into the likes of the Ben Yedder territories, all the OP cards from yesteryear. This is going to be a really useful player to start out with, and we've got a few chemistry styles that can really complement that. Now, if there's any card I would recommend splashing out on a chemistry style, it could possibly be this one, because a hunter really does make him look quite menacing to come up against. That balance is perfectly fine. Yeah, his dribbling isn't great, but he's mainly going to be running onto balls in behind, turning in the box and hitting it on either foot. So I think that's going to be a really good chem style. As aside from that, you could also look into Hawk if you want to go the cheap route. Still gives him decent finishing, a bit more of a bump on pace, and his strength and jumping is really good for a tiny guy. The third and final one, if you'd rather make him just an agile, nimble player, you can put the sniper on him, which gives him great balance, decent agility, great dribbling, and his finishing is going to be phenomenal with that 5-star weak foot. I'm really excited to use this card, and we're going to put him in to conclude our squad. So then that concludes our starter squad. We've got full chemistry. We've been able to skimp and save in certain areas to be able to spend in others. Every player is going to be useful to start off with to get you through that first weekend league. Now all you need is to have a few decent super subs to bring on around that 60th minute just to freshen up your squad. I think you already know what one of those subs should look like.
A checkpoint.
Yes, Big Frank will be making a return in FIFA 21. I hope to see him in all of your guys' benches as well. Let's swarm our opponents with Big Frank on the 60th minute. He can cause madness. We love him on this channel. But all jokes aside, that is, in my opinion, what's going to be one of the better cheap starter squads to get you through that first weekend league in the La Liga. From there, you can obviously start upgrading players as and when the money starts rolling in. So my big question is now over to you. What do you think to this side? Would you make any changes to it? And most of all, which player are you most looking forward to using in FIFA 21? Next video is going to be the English Premier League. Make sure you've rung that bell so you're ready for that landing. And as always, until next time, take care of yourselves. Ciao for now.